Each year on the 31st of October, we dress up, wear masks and decorate our homes to a spooky theme in observance of Halloween. But what are the origins of this growing tradition? The word Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve, being the evening before the Christian holy days of All Hallows Day or All Saints' Day on the 1st of November and All Souls' Day on the 2nd of November. Since the time of the early church, major feasts in Christianity, such as Christmas, Easter and Pentecost, had vigils that begun the night before, as did the Feast of All Hallows. These 3 days are collectively called Allhallowtide, and are a time when Western Christians honour all saints and pray for recently departed souls who have yet to reach heaven. Commemorations of all saints and martyrs were held by several churches on various dates, mostly in springtime. In the 4th century Roman Edessa, it was held on the 13th of May, and on the 13th of May, 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV rededicated the Pantheon in Rome to St. Mary's and all martyrs. This was the date of the Lemuria, an ancient Roman festival of the dead. By 800 AD, there is evidence that churches in Ireland and Northumbria were holding a feast commemorating All Saints on the 1st of November. In 835 AD, it became the official date in the Frankish Empire. Some suggest this was due to Celtic influence, while others suggest it was a Germanic idea, although it is claimed that both Germanic and Celtic-speaking peoples commemorated the dead at the beginning of winter. They may have seen it as the most fitting time to do so, as it was a time of dying in nature. By the end of the 12th century, they had become holy days of obligation in Western Christianity, and involved such traditions as ringing church bells for souls in purgatory. It was also customary for criers in black to parade the streets, ringing bells of mournful sound, and calling on all good Christians to remember the poor souls. The Allhallowtide custom of baking and sharing soul cakes for all Christian souls has been suggested as the origin of trick-and-treating. The custom dates back to at least as far as the 15th century and was found in parts of England, Wales, Flanders and Austria. Groups of poor people, often children, would go door to door during Allhallowtides, collecting soul cakes in exchange for praying for the dead, especially the souls of the givers, friends and relatives. This was called souling. As with the tradition of hot cross buns, soul cakes were often marked with a cross, indicating they were baked as alms. Shakespeare mentions souling in his comedy The Two Gentlemen of Verona in 1593. While souling, Christians would carry lanterns made of hollowed out turnips, which could have originally represented souls of the dead. Jack-o'-lanterns were used to ward off evil spirits. On All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day during the 19th century, candles were lit in homes in Ireland, Flanders and Bavaria, where they were called soul lights, that served to guide the souls back to visit their earthly homes. In many of these places, candles were also lit at graves on All Souls' Day. It was traditionally believed that the souls of the departed wandered the earth until All Saints' Day and All Hallows Eve, provided one last chance for the dead to gain vengeance on their enemies before moving to the next world. In order to avoid being recognised by any souls that might be seeking such vengeance, people would don masks or costumes. In the Middle Ages, churches in Europe that were too poor to display relics of martyred saints at Allhallowtide let parishioners dress up as saints instead. Some Christians observe this custom at Halloween today. Many Christians in mainland Europe, especially in France, believe that once a year on Halloween, the dead of the churchyards rose for one wild carnival, known as the Danse Macabre, which was often depicted in church decoration. The Danse Macabre was sometimes enacted in European village pageants and court masquerades, with people dressing up as corpses from various ranks of society, and this may well have been the origin of Halloween costume parties. In Britain, these customs came under attack during the Reformation, as Protestants berated purgatory as popish doctrine, incompatible with Calvinist doctrine of predestination. State-sanctioned ceremonies associated with the intercession of saints and prayer for souls in purgatory was abolished during the Elizabethan Reform, though All Hallows Day remained in the English calendar to commemorate saints as godly human beings. In some localities, Catholic and Protestants continued souling, candlelit processions, or ringing church bells for the dead. The Anglican Church eventually suppressed this bell ringing. After 1605, Hallowtide was eclipsed in England by Guy Fawkes Night on the 5th of November, which appropriated some of its customs. In England, the ending of official ceremonies related to intercession of saints led to the development of new, unofficial Hallowtide customs. In the 18th century of rural Lancashire, Catholic families gathered on hills on the night of All Hallows Eve. One held a bunch of burning straw on a pitchfork, while the rest knelt around him, praying for the souls of relatives and friends, until the flames went out. This was known as Teenlay, where a similar custom in Hertfordshire and the lighting of Tyndall fires in Derbyshire. Some suggest these Tyndalls were originally lit to guide the poor souls back to earth. The carving of vegetables has been a common practice in many parts of the world. It is believed that the custom of making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween time began in Ireland. By those who made them, the lanterns were said to represent either spirits or supernatural beings who were used to ward off evil spirits. For example, sometimes they were used by Halloween participants to frighten people, and sometimes they were set on windowsills to keep harmful spirits out of one's home. It has also been suggested that the jack-o'-lanterns originally represented Christian souls in purgatory. The dying tradition of bobbing for apples dates back to the Roman invasion of Britain, when the conquering army merged their own celebrations with traditional Celtic festivals. During the annual celebration, young unmarried people would try and bite into an apple floating in water or hanging from a string on a line. The first person to bite into the apple would be the next one to be allowed to marry. Apple bobbing was appropriated into Celtic festival Samhain, with apples a sign of fertility and abundance. The origins of trick-or-treating may have also come from the custom of murmuring. Since the Middle Ages, a tradition of murmuring on certain holidays has existed in parts of Britain and Ireland. It involved going door to door in costume, performing short scenes or parts of plays in exchange for food and drink. The custom of trick-or-treating on Halloween may have come also from the belief that supernatural beings, or the souls of the dead, roamed the earth at this time and needed to be appeased. The true origins of Halloween are most likely a mix of cultures and belief, but through American influence, Halloween has spread to many other countries and has become the tradition that we know today.